Hey everyone, Dave here. Hope you've had a decent weekend wherever you are. This is a video just with my latest thoughts on the US election and the fallout from the US election, based on my very limited understanding of it. I've tried to do a fair bit of research and tried to understand what is or what seems a very complicated political system. But I think it's always difficult when you're trying to understand political systems and political structures in other countries than your own. So, is the story over just yet? Well, perhaps not. I think we're going to find out about a lot in the next couple of weeks. First of all, when it comes to Trump, if he can find and present, and his team can present no evidence of alleged electoral fraud, manipulation and corruption as they're claiming, then, and after the counts in the states with the current wafer thin majorities for Joe Biden return, Biden again, the recount shows that Biden is the winner. In order for democracy to be a democracy, for democracy to function, and for a peaceful transfer of power, as is the tradition in America between November and the inauguration in January, then Trump has to go quietly, accept the result, accept that he lost, and go. So in the event that him and his team aren't able to find any evidence of malpractice or corruption, and he doesn't go, then we're going to find out a lot about Trump the man, which would cause me to change my opinion on him. So, on the flip side, again, there's a lot of talk about a hell of a lot of evidence of corruption, malpractice and manipulation and fraud. Now, obviously, I don't have any evidence of any of this. I've not seen any hard evidence yet, but I suspect that there is some. Now, this is another story, by and large, that is being suppressed by the mainstream media. Not like them, is it? But delving a little deeper, there does appear, and I say appear, to be cause for concern. First of all, I've talked about the recounts that, is my understanding, will be taking place in states such as Michigan and Georgia. There is evidence that votes from dead people were counted. However that happens, I don't know. Like I say, I can't prove or disprove anything. I'm just talking about it. The Biden vote share in metropolitan areas apparently was down in all metropolitan areas, aside from Milwaukee, Atlanta, Pennsylvania, and Detroit, which coincidentally are the four states that Trump was winning, and that Biden managed to miraculously pull out the bag and win all four by the tiniest of margins. Those states are in Wisconsin, those cities are in Wisconsin, Michigan, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. Now, is that a coincidence? I also, the turnout in Wisconsin was 30 percentage points higher than average. 30% more people voted in Wisconsin than the average of the last few elections. The Republican representatives who were entitled to observe the count of the ballots in election centres in Pennsylvania were not admitted entrance, or if they were, they had to stand 30 yards away, again, allegedly, apparently. And it is the right of the political parties to send representatives to observe vote counting. And there's a hell of a lot of other things as well, with a lot of evidence that's apparently going to be presented with regard to the mail ballots and mail-in voting as well, and how open it is to manipulation. So the story may not be over here. There are going to be legal court cases, numerous, which does happen after pretty much every US election. I mean, I think it is a country, America, that is, there's a lot of litigation all the time in America, and certainly in politics there is. So we'll just have to see. There may be some small scale fraud, there may be some large scale fraud. Who's to say that the Republicans haven't been guilty of corruption as well? We just don't know. I mean, my gut instinct all along with this is that just something's not right. But if they can't provide evidence, there's no evidence, then Joe Biden won the election fairly and squarely. So let's see what happens with that. Now, when it comes to the actual election result, price you pay for democracy, isn't it? But I think it's a terrible result for America and a terrible result for the world. I really do. I think the Democrat Party has been hijacked, like most of the political parties in the UK, by the extreme left. And Joe Biden is merely a stooge. He is not going to be there for very long. I mean, he can barely string a sentence together. I think the man's going senile. It's pretty clear when you hear him talk. And I think Kamala Harris, she's been the one who's been lined up. She will be the first late woman president of the US, and she has some pretty disreputable ideological views in my mind, in my opinion. I don't know what it is the Democrats stand for. I really don't. I think as well, some things have really annoyed me with this election. First of all, the polling. I talked about this in my election prediction video, where I said my main two predictions were that Joe Biden was not going to sweep the board and the Democrats were not going to sweep the board, and that Trump would win. He'd win the 270 electoral college votes. So with the latter, Trump, as it stands, has lost the election. So I was wrong there. But with the former, I just refuse to believe. I couldn't countenance the fact that there'll be that many people in America that would tend towards, people call the Democrats liberal and progressive, and they're not. They're illiberal and censorious and intolerant. That there would be that many people who would attach themselves to that type of politics. And I couldn't countenance the fact that there wouldn't be more people who would stand up for the values that America holds: family, patriotism, economy, freedom. And I think we saw that with the results. With, yes, Joe Biden won more votes than any president in US history, which I find absolutely astounding, actually. But Trump won the second most. Trump won 7 million more votes than he won in his 2016 election campaign. And he increased his vote share amongst all minority groups. So it's interesting, because for somebody like me who likes Trump, that makes me obviously a white supremacist, racist and xenophobe. I get that. Makes me laugh. There's a hell of a lot of black and Latino white supremacists in America, aren't there? Bloody hell, there's loads of them voting for Trump. Obviously not voting in their best interests according to how the illiberals want them to vote. And I think the political establishment, the media and the pollsters purposefully tried to influence this election by purposefully trying to paint a picture of the American electorate that just wasn't true. Trying to paint a picture of the American electorate of tending towards Democrat views. And the results have borne out that that is not the case. The election tells us America is a deeply divided country. Metropolitan areas set against rural areas. College educated set against non-college and university educated. Identitarians against non-identitarians. The results showed us that. I mean, you only need to look at the electoral map of America to see where the concentration of Democratic votes were, i.e. in the big cities. Now I've been to America, I've been to the big cities, some of the big cities, and I've travelled extensively across the heartland of America, the Midwest and the Deep South. And I can tell you that it's like chalk and cheese. It's like London compared to the rest of the UK. For me, the real America is the American heartlands. It's where the American dream was inspired. Small town America. Freedom loving people. People who cherish things like freedom. I say it all the time, patriotism, democracy, the economy, family, religion. So, no, America is not. And if this election tells us one thing, it tells us that there is mass rebellion against this woke, repellent, repugnant, woke ideology spouted by the Democrats and by the mainstream media. And this left-wing malevolence that has got its tentacles absolutely everywhere now, which gives me a degree of hope. However, overall, I don't think we're in a very good position. I think what happens regardless in the next few weeks, the outside chance that Trump manages to overturn it, or it stays as it is fairly and squarely, then America's so divided. It seems like they're on the brink of a civil war over there. And it's troubling that the very question needs to be asked, is America a democratic country, that we're having to ask that question? Or is it falling under the spell of something more sinister? I guess we're going to find out. Because America is the leader of the free world, what's left of it. It is the most influential country in the world. And it needs to lead by example. And if you don't have democracy in America, it's going to be hard to have it in the rest of the world. So let's wait and see. If Biden's won the election fairly and squarely, democracy has prevailed. If he hasn't, then yeah, it's a completely different story. And one other thing as well, I just want to say is that the media is so duplicitous and insincere and hypocritical, as is the left in general. I saw the Democrats celebrating the win up on the stage, all holding hands, hugging each other. I've made my views clear on coronavirus and all the measures that are being put in place, eroding away people's freedom. For example, social distancing, but there wasn't any social distancing there. And I saw the cities coming out in celebration, rubbing shoulders, hugging each other. Great, if the candidates won, that's absolutely fine. That's what we're missing now. But here's the difference. They were the right kind of people with the right cause, just like Black Lives Matter. Remember that? In the summer, the Black Lives Matter protests. No criticism whatsoever of a lack of social distancing. Coronavirus didn't go to those rallies. Now, just as it coronavirus, obviously it said, apparently you can't catch or pass on coronavirus at a Joe Biden rally, but you can at a Trump rally, according to the media. And you can't catch or pass on coronavirus at a Black Lives Matter protest, but you can if you go to an anti-lockdown protest. So this virus is so clever. I wonder whether coronavirus will, whether it'll just mysteriously disappear now. You really do, or the story around it will. It's so hypocritical, it absolutely stinks. And the last thing, for anyone I'm seeing it's so insincere and sanctimonious and fake and phony. Truth and light has won, all this kind of thing. Kindness returns to America. Shut up. How? Let's take it as read that all politicians are corrupt. I mean, Trump is certainly hiding enough corruption himself. Let's take that as read. Now, let's consider the fact that one corrupt man, albeit one who I think, my view of politicians is that they are all corrupt. Human beings, though, by their very nature, are corruptible when they have power. My view of Trump, who's a great president, apart, despite that. One corrupt man, president, is about to be replaced by one who's corrupt to his very, very core. Not that the mainstream media would ever cover that either. And if you just do a little bit of research, a little bit of digging and find out about Joe Biden and his contacts and his business dealings, not to mention some much, much more dark and sinister stuff. I'm not going to say what it is, but trust me, dark. It's not truth and light at all, is it? So stop pretending that it is. People, what is it? What is it about the left and the Democrats and the mainstream media that explains their complete and utter lack of authenticity? That's why Trump is so popular. He's authentic. You might not like him, but you can respect his authenticity. Not kowtowing to ideological, identitarian bollocks, policies that mean absolutely nothing but just cause division and resentment. But actual values based on authenticity and a vision. So the mainstream media has once again shown itself to be incapable of striking balance, trying to be fair. And it's nothing more than a propaganda machine for the left. A left which, as I've said on many occasions, a far left has hijacked organisational structures right across the world. So there we go. I'm sure I'll do another video on this in the next couple of weeks, maybe when things become a little bit clearer. But we'll see how things pan out. If you like my videos, feel free to subscribe, like, and leave any comments. Let me know whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Just trying to get a conversation started, really. Alright, speak to you all soon. Bye bye.